when a fan recently spotted Carla Dunlap at the airport and asked for a photo, she casually struck a pose, just a reminder of her glory days. Yet it kind of broke the internet, not because she was the only black female bodybuilding champion.
She was also crowned Miss Olympia. Are there any advantages being one of these few black women in the sport?
I think there is. First of all, it makes me a pioneer. Secondly, it makes me stand out.
But because even now, 30 years after her last competition, she still looks ready to step onto the stage any moment. In an industry still debating whether femininity belongs on a bodybuilding stage, Carla Dunlap carved her own category and she's still redefining it. Stick around because the most surprising chapter of her career came after the trophies. 1979, a junior synchronized swimmer walked into Best in the World Women's Bodybuilding Contest with zero training, zero posing routine, and zero business being there.
The one point that everyone agrees on is that these women have been rewarded with very healthy bodies. They'll probably live longer than you or me, and competition encourages them.
Yes, this was someone trying her hand at professional bodybuilding for the very first time. What happened in those crucial 10 minutes on stage changed everything for the IFBB world, but we're getting ahead of ourselves, because her journey didn't start on that stage. Born in 1954, Newark, New Jersey, Carla Dunlap had one thing going for her all her life. She'd been athletic beyond imagination. At 10, she was already diving into ballet, gymnastics, and swimming, then synchronized swimming by 13. By 1977, she helped the U.S. junior national team cinch a gold medal in synchronized swimming. A year later, she added a bronze at the first National Sports Festival. Her body awareness, discipline, and build were unmatched. Onlookers couldn't get enough of her bulging muscles, even though some thought they were a little unusual and heavier for a swimmer. But the rising star paid no heed, swimming for up to 8 hours a day. That mindset and hunger to stay in motion would eventually turn her into a bodybuilding icon. What's more impressive is how she applied that same principle to stay lean, muscular, and mobile in her late 60s. Before we get to that, let's first see how she entered this glamorous world in the first place, because she had no intentions of entering bodybuilding whatsoever. She was actually preparing to retire from competitive sports. Then, in 1979, a chance meeting with sports historian Steve Wennerstrom changed that. He suggested that she enter Best in the World. To a young woman who had never touched a barbell, didn't know what a lat spread was, had never even seen a bodybuilding show before, for crying out loud.
But he invited me to go to this particular show because he said, "You're also very muscular." He said, "Do you have a hard time swimming?" I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I sink like a rock." But he introduced me to bodybuilding, and at the time, women were not supposed to be muscular, even though over eons there were many women who were muscular.
Yet, despite the odds heavily stacked against her, she placed 5th out of 45 competitors. And that was enough. She didn't need any more convincing to go pro.
He introduced me to bodybuilding, and at the time, women were not supposed to be muscular.
Carla committed herself to training, studying the sport, and sculpting her form with the kind of precision most beginners don't even understand. Just a few years later, she was winning almost everything she entered, like the Super Bowl of Bodybuilding, AFWB American Championship, and Swedish Grand Prix, to name a few. But champions aren't made by just victories. They're defined by how they handle what comes next. 1982 would test everything she'd built, and she might fail. Dunlap entered the Miss Olympia contest, reached all the way to the final, and lost to Rachel McLish by 2 points. Not 20, just 2.
First place Ms. America 1981-1982. Carla Dunlap.
It shook her confidence to the core. Was turning pro and putting all that effort really a smart choice? The budding athlete wasn't sure of anything anymore until a family crisis forced her hand. And that decision wrote down a new chapter of IFBB history, the absolute prime days. In 1983, Carla's physique reached peak conditioning with disciplined posing routines and relentless attention to muscular proportion. But behind the physical preparation was something deeply personal. Her mother had gone through a difficult divorce and urgently needed financial help. She saw pro bodybuilding as a way to support her mother. She dedicated herself entirely, and in a single year she made a sweep, which some call the Grand Slam of bodybuilding. It looked effortless how Dunlap won the next 3 major professional championships: Pro World Championship, the IFBB Caesars World Cup, and the prestigious 1983 Miss Olympia title she yearned for. And she wasn't done, not even close. The champion then proceeded to add more titles to her collection, including the 1984 and and 1988 World Professional Mixed Pairs titles with partner Tony Pearson. Suddenly, she was everywhere. Dunlap appeared in documentaries like Woman of Iron, Pumping Iron 2, The Women, and ABC's Battle of the Superstars. Not only that, images from her brief modeling stint representing Danskin activewear alongside Olympic legends Nadia Comaneci and Carrie Strug still sell like hotcakes among fans. What sets her apart in the world of bodybuilding is being the only female bodybuilder to have competed in 3 consecutive decades, 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s, showcasing her enduring dedication and timeless talent. By that time, however, the physical strain was creeping up on her, so finally in 1993, 13 years after walking into her first bodybuilding gym, a former inexperienced bodybuilder took her final bow and left the competitive stage as an eternal legend. Now, while others usually bulk up and start chasing clout in the following years, this bodybuilding icon took a different path. Her story was just beginning. Professional life after retirement. After retiring from competing, Carla rose to be one of the most respected voices in fitness media. She joined NBC USA and ESPN as a commentator and also hosted ESPN's body shaping fitness program, kind of like televised physical training for the masses. The female legend even designed judging criteria for Ms. Fitness USA and worked as a head judge for the national and international fitness sanctioning body. And while other athletes either vanished or tried to hold on too long, Carla found a new way to stay in shape, mentally and physically. She got certification in nutrition and professional coaching for clients ranging anywhere from professional athletes to everyday people and fans. Now wasn't just part of the sport, she was helping build its future. The former Miss Olympia built a private 1,200 square foot studio FlexFit in Massachusetts, where she trained clients in everything from bodybuilding, Pilates, and yoga to stress relief therapy and pole fitness. Adding on to the list, here's one of her biggest underrated achievements that even many of her fans don't know. She moved to Denmark for a little while to help a chiropractic clinic build a Pilates program from scratch for patient recovery plans. Instead of flashy gigs, she was picking noble causes. After finally settling down in Florida, she continued coaching at Avenue Pilates, focusing on intelligent, safe, and functional fitness for all ages. It's clear that, unlike the rest of the fitness gurus chasing meaningless aesthetics, the veteran expert opted to preach sustainability. In many ways, you can say she predicted the sport's return to balance decades before the wellness and classic physique divisions arrived, and her expertise and services have not gone unnoticed in the industry. A couple of years ago, she was inducted into the Hall of Fame, receiving the honor at the Mr. America All-American Sports Festival.
All the people in bodybuilding who actually uphold the idea of body, mind, and spirit, of building your body and caring for it and being disciplined and taking this onto a stage. This isn't easy. These guys and women work.
How she maintains her physique. Now here's what everyone's secretly wondering: how the heck does she still look like this? Today, many former pros struggle with joint damage, overtraining, or hormonal fallout. But not Carla. One glance at her ripped biceps at this age will tell you she clearly keeps up a fitness regime. But it's a far cry from what you'd expect from a former professional bodybuilder. First, she doesn't count calories or track protein anymore, instead going for an unprocessed, intuitive diet, eating till she feels nearly full. As for physical training, she knows better than to push herself into pain in her senior years. Well, almost. Unlike your usual fitness guru's advice, Carla actually skips workout plans and trains based on feeling. Some days she swims for an hour or hits the machines. On other days, she lifts weights or uses rollers and massage tools to keep her body in alignment. And as unbelievable as it sounds, she even does pole dancing sometimes, which she calls her latest fitness curiosity. Mornings are usually reserved for her yoga sessions, and at night she busts out her childhood ballet stretches. Basically just any form of movement to keep those joints flexible, because in her words, it physically hurts from being still too long. Trust me, you'd hear the opposite from someone her age. At 70, she's still teaching at Masterpiece Pilates, still learning, still pushing boundaries that would challenge athletes half her age. Even now that you take a cursory look at Carla's career, it was never just about winning. It was about transforming what female strength could look like, on stage, in the gym, and years after the spotlight fades. Most people stop training when the stage disappears, but Carla Dunlap is walking proof that age is really just a number. So yes, she's still in shape, and more importantly, she's still shaping the future of the sport. If her incredible story inspired you, please subscribe for more real stories of legendary bodybuilders who defy aging, redefine strength, and never stop evolving.